Matt?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Yep.
Okay. So this is Matt Madison. This is, oh, here comes Keith. Maybe we'll let him kick us off. See if he gets on.
Hey
Keith, can
there.
you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just couldn't get on.
Well, we're just getting ready to start, so you can go for it.
You could go ahead. I gotta pull up the other stuff. That's fine. You have the agenda up?
No, we can go ahead and put that up. So it's 6:33 now. This is Matt Madison. We'll call the Conservation Board meeting to order. We've got Andrew, the board chair. He's going to join us in a few minutes. And Keith had a technical issue, so he's just jumping on now. But here's the agenda. We've got two projects to review tonight. We'll start with Frank Lill and Son Storage Yard at 785 Old Dutch Road. The owner, Lill Power Development LLC. Applicant is requesting approval to construct a 2-acre outdoor storage yard at the east end of the parcel for storage of piping and fittings. And there's a sketch application. So I believe there are some folks on maybe to discuss that project. Is that correct? Maybe not. Okay. Well, I had a chance to take a look at it. Hopefully you guys did as well, Pat and Tim and Keith. It's interesting. It says right here, 2-acre outdoor storage yard. And of course, I start looking at the plans and I'm looking for a building, but in fact, looks like just an outdoor storage yard. So no building as far as I could tell. Couldn't tell if there was any earth being moved. It looked like there was a spot they were putting some stone maybe to raise it up a little bit. I don't know if you guys saw that as well. And if it's pipe storage and fitting storage, as far as I could tell, that that means there's no liquids that are going to be running near any water, no oils from vehicles. So I didn't see any issues with the outdoor storage. Did you guys see anything? Maybe Pat, did you see anything?
I didn't. I was looking for some grades, and there's not. It seems pretty simple. Just looking to store some items that don't hopefully involve anything that would obviously leak or provide any runoff. But
yeah,
I didn't really have any other questions other than what would be stored, and obviously, then that's really it.
Right.
So that was my question, because if there's no earthworks or no construction, then should there be some concern that what is being stored would have some impact on the land or the surrounding areas? So that's right. I don't like, and not at the risk of get into people's business. What exactly are we dealing with? Because it was different.
Yeah, agreed. Tim, anything?
I echo the comments thus far. Only addition is just maybe to note the comment from the landscape consultant of a suggestion on tree species to use. I'm not an arborist, but I assume he knows what's best. So just to communicate to follow his lead.
Right. But I didn't see any easements. I didn't see anything that was sensitive to anything that, this board would need to worry about. So Keith, I don't have any other comments either.
Okay.
Or concerns, I should say.
So do we just want to note that should we say anything about the activities, or it's pretty much straightforward? They're just storing stuff and that's it.
Yeah, yes. That's if it's literally just empty pipe wholesale pipe that's going to be then turned around and sold, then I don't have an issue with it. And fittings, same thing. I think Pat mentioned it. We would not want to see. Maybe we could say something like we would not want to see liquids or things like that stored there. And again, the other comment somebody made was grading. So it doesn't look like there's any grading either that for us to be concerned with.
Okay.
Do you know what's currently there? I know it's their property, but what are they currently doing? Is it just grass that they're going to then put stone down and then store stuff on? I didn't pick up on that.
It looked like half of it would be gravel, and the other half asphalt millings, it says.
That's
So,
what it currently looks like, or that's what they're proposing?
I believe that's the proposed.
So they're
So
going
is
to
it just? Sorry, Keith.
That's okay.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, is it just lawn now or some kind of manicured surface now?
Is anybody on from that project? No.
No.
Because if we are going to put down some asphalt milling or even gravel, I didn't see anything that would look as a risk for grading. But
Right.
It's going to be just like an in-house grading, or they're going to have somebody else do it. So I would probably just say, in the event that they're going to put on some earthworks, that they make sure they follow appropriate grading practices, just to make sure that there's no settling on site.
Mhm. Yep. Cool. All right. Keith, you want to take it from here? Or do you want to move, or you want me to just move to the next project?
I think we can just move to the next project with the scratch.
Okay. Terrific. Would you mind putting the agenda back up for us, please? Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Second item on the agenda is the Guinan major subdivision at 6465 County Road 41. Owner is Edward Guinan. Applicant is requesting acknowledgement of a complete application to subdivide the 112-acre parcel into 2 lots. Lot 1 consists of 50 acres. Lot 2 is going to consist of 62 acres. This is the first step in a major subdivision. The only thing we're here to talk about tonight is the acknowledgement of a completed application to be considered at this meeting. So I know there was more in the file, but I think the intent is just to be sure that there's a completed application. Thank you. And I know there's some folks to talk to us about this item. So maybe we could open it up to some of our guests, someone to let us know what we're looking to do here, and any insight you have would be very helpful for us. We have read the packets. Basically everything that you've submitted to the town, we've been able to review. I understand. I think you do have a buyer for this 50-acre lot and the 62 acres. The intent is to sell that as the next parcel. But please feel free to go ahead and let us know.
My name's Diane Guinan, so I'm representing the seller portion of this, and Joe Ballone is also on, and he's going to be the buyer of the 50-acre. I think we submitted a proposed conservation easement lines. I don't know if you received those, and if that's something you can talk about tonight or not, but we're interested in understanding if that's appropriate for what we're trying to do. So I don't know, again, I'm not sure exactly what you received, and I have a picture I can share on the screen if you want, that takes that same picture and uses color lines. So what you see is, do you want me to share that?
Yeah, I think I know I saw it. Hopefully everybody else had a chance to see it. I can see that it's the creek bed, right? That basically runs through the middle of the two proposed parcels, and looks like you've given a buffer plus, and that's your proposed easement, I believe.
Yeah,
that
the
close?
creek bed isn't actually the line.
Okay.
You can see the line, the dark line. If you go back to the other one, I think it'll be easier to see. So you see the dark line going through the middle that comes off of the house and comes down at an angle, goes straight down, angles to the west, and then straight down. That's the line that divides the 50 and 62 acres.
Yeah. Okay.
Is the dotted line through the middle, and then yes, that's the creek line. The next line out is the
buffers, right?
On this one. So what we put in on it was the 75 feet of buffer that's natural to the creek. And then from that drew a line that's the dashed line is the 75 feet. And then the next line out would be the proposed easement line that would make up the required 25 acres. And so we kind of followed the creek in the woods to create that easement line, proposed easement line.
Yeah, when I took a look at the proposed easement, I mean, my comments are that I really liked it. I like that it follows the creek. I like that you're putting the easement from both properties into one continuous space. I like that rather than create two easements on two properties in separate areas. I think it makes more sense to keep it this way. The only thought I had was that each of the edges of the proposed easement would need a marker. So my only concern for you would be is to have it, that you'd have a whole bunch of markers potentially lining this thing. And I don't know that the new homeowner would want to see that quite as much.
Given that it pretty much follows the creek in the woods, is there an opportunity to have I don't know what the correct word is, but variance or and not necessarily every turn in the road. The creek and the woods follow a kind of an irregular pattern, and again, it's already protected in that 75-foot buffer. But to try to provide the area for the buyer of the 50 acres and allow him to put his home where he'd like to, and try to stay in that 25-acre easement, it kind of creates a jagged line. And we did smooth it out from the original line we had, but I'm just wondering if there would be any leeway on that on every single corner, because again, it follows pretty much with the creek and the woods, which are already protected.
Right. I mean, I think our concern would be that the homeowner is going to need to have a visual for exactly where they can and can't, or exactly where the easement starts and stops. But there is some relief in that it doesn't have to be a 4x4 post at every single corner. So, for instance, if there are potentially trees or large boulders or something along those lines that could be used as a like a site marker, that might work too. So then you're only using the 4x4 posts where that's not available. But you could use something more natural for much of it too. That might be helpful.
And part of the rationale behind that is that, and we know from that experience, is that this easement passes on to future homeowners. So while we may understand it now, 10, 15, 30 years from now, the subsequent owners may not. understand that boundary. And so, that's why we want to make it apparent for, future owners as well. I mean, maybe one thing that others have used, knowing that marking is a requirement, is to generally smooth it out. So the markers need to be where there's a change in angle. So that little yellow circular item that's highlighted on the screen now, it's kind of a jag. If you just straightened it, you wouldn't have 3 or 4 markers in that area. I like to, Matt's comment, I like that you followed the natural creek bed, and that is what we look for in easements, is in, sticking with the natural environment. But there may be ways to just sort of lessen the amount of markers needed without majorly changing the lines here.
And the other thing I'd like to add is if in straightening out the markers, you probably would have lost some of the usable space. You can do your calculation where you can probably take back some from somewhere else. Just saying, just there's a concern of losing or giving up too much space. So that's something that you can juggle. But to echo the others, that it's more efficient the way you've had it. But if based on our needs or our interest of making sure that there are markers present, if you think that's going to be an exhaustive exercise, then smoothing out and probably recalculating some of the percentage of the area that you're going to give up is something that you can evaluate for future reference. Does that help?
Kind of.
Excellent.
I guess, I don't know if you from the committee's perspective, if there's any other concerns, or people have talked about a site visit. Will there be a site visit for the property?
I mean, I think generally we almost always say sure to site walks. It doesn't hurt. I mean, to me, this looks fairly straightforward. But if you want us to walk the property, for instance, to help with marker placement, for instance, or help you as you're trying to lay this out, I think that might be helpful. But otherwise, I don't see a need for it myself, just my opinion. Keith, Tim,
No.
Pat.
Yeah, I mean,
unless there's something specific that you would like us to have a conversation on site. But I don't think this is a difficult exercise based on what you presented on the sketch that required that we need to get any further clarification on the ground. So it is, I think it's, I don't, at this point in time in this preliminary stage, we don't have to get out there just yet.
Okay.
So I echo Matt's response.
Yeah, we don't have a reason. I just didn't know, people had talked about it, so I didn't know if there was an intent to do that site walk. But there's nothing from our perspective that we would request one. In terms of type of easement, I think what we'd like to do is have the least restrictive, not because of anything in particular, but there's already, again, most of it is already covered by the protection of the stream. So giving, being able to put a path through the woods to see the creek by the homeowner, or I don't know what the, that's probably the other issue is there, as I understand it, there's 3 types of easements.
Mm-hmm.
That is correct. We there are 3 types of easements, and we try to guide on the one that would be most appropriate based on the development and the circumstances of the land and its environment. So it's not like a one hat fits all. So it depends on the situation at hand, and then we make a recommendation based on what we see. So
And
that's
do we have input in that, or are we involved in that discussion, or is that just between the committee and it goes to the planning board from your perspective?
Well,
Um,
go ahead, Tim.
Oh, I was just going to say we certainly welcome your input. In it sounds like at least there may be one buyer in mind, and we want to, it's easier to resolve any issues up front. So if there's a particular use that someone has for it and they want to make sure that the easement allows for that, it's easier to have the conversation now than later on. So, certainly value input.
Then maybe if we could get some kind of sense of where the committee is right now in terms of where the leanings would be. Again, I would hope we're not in the most restrictive. I'd rather be in the least restrictive. I know the buyer is interested in the ability to hunt and the ability to have paths that go through the woods, but also in the ability to maintain the natural beauty. So, and the other half in the 62 acres, we don't currently yet know who's going to buy that, and anything we create now is going to impact the ability to attract people that would be interested in buying that piece of property.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so it, maybe it's helpful and my colleagues are more talented at it than I am, but, we can sort of, give you an understanding of the three different types of easements we have in, what's permitted and not allowed in each, that I'd say in general, they're not vastly different. But
Yep. I mean, I agree with that. They're not vastly different. So I might recommend taking a look at the three easements. And I forget if it was you, Tim, or Keith that said, you can look line by line. And if there's something specific that you're looking to do, see which easement, would allow that. I think in general, we usually start with the most restrictive because I think that's what generally we'd like to see since we're here trying to conserve. So we'd like as little impact on that as absolutely possible. So I would say take a look at that. Motorized vehicles always seems to come up. So that's usually one that people discuss.
Yep.
I don't even think least restrictive allows for motorized vehicles though, right? Other than
not continuous, only for maybe like once a year you can go in and do certain things.
Just maintenance, yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Yep.
maintaining, clearing, deadfall, things like that.
Mm-hmm. It is very specific.
Can you mentioned maybe giving a brief idea of the difference between the three?
Sure, I'll take a stab at it, and if I go wrong, committee feel free to jump in. So, that start with the easy one, the most restrictive. It essentially doesn't allow for much of anything. You can't mow. You can't remove deadfall. So if a tree falls down, you have to just leave it. Clearly can't put up a shed or anything like that. But that most restrictive is just that you're not really allowed to do much of anything. And then maybe we'll flip over to the least restrictive. And I think the actual term is site specific. So if Lisa or Kim send you copies of the easements, I think site specific is that what we call the least restrictive. But that it does allow for seasonal mowing. Sorry. It so it allows for seasonal mowing. So, in the spring, you want to, put a brush hog to it, that's fine. And, the fall as well. You can clear deadfall. You're permitted to, I believe, use a motor vehicle to do that, obviously for the mowing, but also for removal of deadfall and sort of maintaining the landscape. Again, no structures, no sheds, no fences, things of that nature. I'm trying to think if there's any other hot items that people generally ask about. No,
I think you got it.
Hunting, the hunting is also an issue. People want to be able to go in and do hunting in the respective. So that is going to be in the most restrictive easement. I think with the least restrictive, you are able to do like walks and do trails, but I'm not sure you can do hunting inside there either. Right, Matt?
I would double check on those, honestly. So I would definitely have you request the easement language. There are 3 or 4. The reason that we're referring you to look at them is because they're 3 or 4 pages, maybe 3 pages, and there's specific bullet points as far as what you can and can't do. So you're probably better off. You are better off, I'd say, going through line by line and reading it. And would this allow me to do what I want to do? Yes or no? And then, come back. So while you're doing that, the other thing that, excuse me, we would want to do is, we're trying to figure out what we're trying to protect here. So in this case, it's the stream corridor. That's, obviously pretty sensitive. So I think that's why we'd probably want to start with most restrictive, to keep as much away from the stream as possible.
Can you talk about the process? Because you're talking most restrictive, we're talking eastern. Where does that discussion occur? Because we'd like to get things, resolved as much as possible before we make a proposal to the town. And I know that it is an area that hunters have enjoyed. I know that the person interested in buying is here, and so I'd like to give him a chance to speak. But I know he'd like to be able to enjoy the nature. Again, the 75 feet are already protecting the creek, so that part is already protected by those regulations. And so the ability to put a path and enjoy the nature that's there and preserve the nature. I mean, the intent is to preserve the nature, but also to enjoy the nature, as opposed to it being an area that nobody goes into or can't remove dead trees. So I'm just curious about what can be done to try to make that argument or plea to the committee before a recommendation is made to the planning board. I know most restricted is certainly not what we're asking for. We'd like to be able to. There are some areas that I believe, that fall a little bit potentially outside of the wooded area. And so to be able to mow that grass would be nice. The wood area, I don't see a lot of, and again, I'll let the potential owner speak for it, but it's not like they want to come in and cut down a bunch of trees. But in around the area where the home is, you might want to remove dead wood and put a path, because it is a pretty thick area. So even walking down to enjoy the stream would be tough to do without having some ability to create a path. And so it sounds like there's already, even in the least restrictive, it's still restrictive. So again, I'm just trying to understand process to try to facilitate, work a plan for people that would like to this area. I can tell you that everybody so far that looked at the land has been interested in the woods and the creek, and not and more from a perspective of the nature, the natural beauty, and to maintain that natural beauty. And also it's an area of hunting, and it's also an area where there's certainly an overpopulation of deer. And so I guess I'd make the request that be considered when making a recommendation to the.
Yeah, I think those are all fair comments, and maybe you mentioned the potential buyer, was it Joe Balone? Is on. If maybe Joe, if you could just echo Diane's comments for you, or if there's something different than you had in mind to let us know.
Good evening. Hello. Yeah, so Diane pretty much hit the nail on the head. The main goal here is obviously for my residents, one home only, and the attractive part for me is the woods. There's, out of this 50-acre lot, there's probably 13 acres or so of woods. That's the most attractive part to me. The rest is crops, which we'll be, keeping and maintaining. Yeah, the woods is a major factor if we decide to move forward. In that my home, I want to have it tucked in to some degree with meeting those setbacks from that creek. And the intent was also to hunt the property and make trails. I've got 3 young kids, and we've got four-wheelers and snowmobiles and things of that nature. So it's going to be really important to me. I get the language for the easements because I'm going to want to know before I move forward if I can do things I want to do. So that's
Right.
So whether it's even on the least restrictive, if we're saying I'm not able to do, I do snowshoeing, I hike, I do all these things, and those would be taking place obviously in the woods areas. But if the least restrictive is, I understand there's rules and regulations. That's why we're here. So I need to know what I'm going to be not allowed to do or allowed to do. So I can make a decision for both me and Diane, the seller. We already got some time involved in this and money spent. So I just, again, not your concern, but a concern of, do we move forward knowing what we're, up against, is my concern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Diane, how did this become a major subdivision? Do you know? Has it been over years? Has it been continually pieces carved off?
No, that's kind of a sticking point for me too. It's a 118-acre property. 1 acre went to one of the siblings in the family in the 80s, and another acre, so it's on the corner. Another corner is owned by another sibling. So 2 acres, 3 acres went to those children to build homes. That left 110 17 acres, 100, well, maybe yeah. So, and then not many people want 117 acres of land. So I guess that's what it was. We had 120, the acreage came off and we were left with about 118. And we're not finding people that want 118 acres in this part of Victor. I'm talking to conservation people, I think that a single family buyer on 50 acres is more conservation than if we had a developer. But because we had those two corners that came off, and then the house is now has a buyer. It's a house in a little under 5 acres. That leaves 112 acres left on the property. That again, not many people want 112 acres, but we have a person that wants 50. So because we're dividing 112 acres into two large pieces of land, that makes 5 parcels. And as I understand it, back in the 70s, the town came up with a regulation that if you divide your land into 5 parcels, that makes it a major subdivision. So
Okay.
I think for me, I don't like that rule because it's a one size fits all. I feel like we're being treated like a developer who's coming in and developing a piece of property, which is not what we're doing. We're just taking a large parcel and dividing it into 5 residences, but we're under the same regulations as a developer who would come in and put as many homes as they could on the property. So again, from a conservation point of view, the fact that we have to take 50% and block that off so that it can't be used, it's hard to swallow. If I was a developer, it would be easy, right? I would put all my homes in the front of the land and I'd leave the back of the land untouched. It wouldn't be hard to do. But if I'm a Joe Balone who wants to have a residence on his 50 acres of land and 30 of that is a farmer's field that will continue to be farmed. I don't know. To be honest with you, I feel like the restriction of the creek and 150 feet, 75 on either side, that's protecting creek and woods. Already the property is zoned for 1 home per 3 acres. So you've got natural conservation there. But now we have to set aside land that now can't be used in many ways for the people that just want to enjoy it for hunting and recreation. And the reason we conserve the land is to maintain the beauty and enjoy it, not to set it aside and nobody can go on it. So I brought it up and talked to the town, but it's a 1970s regulation that has apparently never been revisited.
Right.
I would love the committee's support to say that this might not be an area that requires that 50% conservation easement.
So I guess either way, that's this board. We're just advisory. We don't have that level of authority. There would have to be the planning board, I believe, if not town board. But I know we can't do that. But I think certainly I think you made some good points that one homeowner, one property, one building on a 50-acre property there's less natural change than a subdivision. I think the path forward, I appreciate Joe needing to sort of get some answers here because he's looking to buy the property. To Matt's suggestion earlier, I say we certainly provide you the language of the 3, so you get a real clear definition of what's in there. on any of these, walking and snowshoeing, those things are allowed. So it's, we don't want people not to use the land, but, to the putting up a tree stand and things like that, those may fall into different levels of restriction in these easements. So those things, you do want to think those through. I think maybe what can help. I know we said earlier that we didn't know if a site walk was necessary, but it may give us a little more comfort of, looking at the land. Okay, yeah, there's, it's a lot of just, tillable land versus, hey, there's these unique drumlins that we really want to protect, and that it should be in a more restrictive. So, it might delay it a little bit while we try to, get that scheduled, but it's July and it's nice out. So that's when we like to do the site walks. But maybe that can be a way to get our board a little more comfortable in what level of easement is good for the property. And in the meantime, Joe can read the different ones and think through what he may want to do on the property. And maybe the other thing is that, is there, knowing what the language is and what's allowed, maybe want to change something around, and, hey, this, this grassland that's always been there, maybe we want to move it there because I really want to put a dirt bike track along the side or something. So, point is that I'd rather us take an extra 2 to 3 weeks now and make sure all parties are comfortable, than, come to regret it in 3 years when we're back at it and it's, has to try to be changed. That's my suggestion is to do a sidewalk.
Yeah, site walk. It went from very simple to, we should definitely do a site walk. So we'll try to get that scheduled.
I know, Diane, I think you're in Greensboro, right?
Well, no, I'm spending a good portion of the summer. I'm actually in Victor now. I'm going to be gone the rest of this week, but back on Sunday. And then I'll be in this area the rest of the summer. But when you say extended 2 to 3 weeks, you're saying not not have the meeting on Tuesday, but put the meeting off. Is that am I hearing that correctly?
I don't really have a strong opinion one way or the other. If I think we can, my suggestion would be to keep it and inform the board of what you're doing, and maybe they'll have to wait for the conservation board's comments after the site walk. But if it's not too much trouble, I would say to keep the meeting, because it's better to have 2 conversations on a subject than to wait and hope you get it all on, when you come back before the board. That's just my thought.
Diane, I think we'll give you our comments at the site walk. So it's not like you'll be waiting for them. So maybe we can wrap this up pretty quickly. And then just to add to it, when you see the language of the easements, I think you'll be more comfortable, I would say, in choosing one. And certainly, to Tim's point earlier, we can, if need be, find a balance between one and the other. Certainly, I'm supportive of one homeowner on 50 acres rather than X amount of lots out there and being parsed out. So the amount of use that Joe and his family will have out there is certainly less than you would have with a regular subdivision. So
I guess one thing that might help us is, though I recognize the board is simply an advisory board and not a regulatory board, but even in the language going to the planning board, it would certainly be helpful for us. Any support that says maybe that strict conservation easement might not be as necessary in the situation would be helpful. that's possible or at least up for consideration. Because I think that, you know, the goal is conservation. And it's one of the things that I appreciate when I looked at some of the regulations of Victor is that they want to maintain that rural town atmosphere while also allowing development. It's a kind of a tough line. I think we could do it better here in this particular situation without that strict 50%. And, you know, maybe there's, if just the support that just says it, that especially, I understand the need for the sidewalk to be able to say that, but to say that it may not be as necessary here as it would be in another spot, or if there was a housing development.
So I think there are two things here. When we speak about doing the site visit, there is the opportunity to have that conversation where yourself and Joe will have an idea of what the board is thinking of recommending. So when you do have your meeting, you're going into it sort of kind of prepared in terms of what verbiage you'd use. And then we, on the other hand, having completed the summit, would also send our official recommendation for the board to review so that, you know, both parties are on the same page. It's a bit difficult to make any suggestions or recommendations prior to us, especially since this is a very important issue for you that you're going to be holding on to in order to make a decision. It's critical that whatever we offer you can actually stand scrutiny. So I'm hearing that you'd like to at least have an idea of what to expect or which direction you're going to go in. But until we actually make that site, just know something like it's important, because to Tim's point, maybe when we get there and we actually have a hands-on on what kind of environment we're looking at, then we can say, you know what, maybe it is not as strict as we think it needs to be for reasons 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so the board is recommending, because of this, because it's only one homeowner, and because of the parameters around the stream, we would suggest or recommend that it is okay for X, Y, Z. But until we actually have that hands-on, it is hard to make any or infer anything without being able to validate or support what we're willing to say. So, and again, to continue on what Tim is saying in terms of the quote unquote delay in the process of 2 to 3 weeks, is that you would want to know that we have given you our full support in actually coming and seeing for ourselves, and then have that conversation with you, so that when you have to make a decision, you say, okay, fine, we've gone the extra mile, we've gone through all the details, and you know, based on the regulations, based on the criteria, based on the guidelines that we have to follow, and in order to provide a recommendation, you can say, okay, fine, I'm satisfied, I've done what we had to do, we've done our due diligence, and Joe, you can say, you know what, I can live with this, I can't live with this. But we won't like to say something now, and then you make a decision, and then down the road you're like, well, I remember coming to the board, and the board said that this would be possible, and there was nothing to support it. You know what I mean? This is a huge decision. So we would like to definitely make sure that we dot our I's and cross our T's, so that when you make a decision, you can sleep well at night, you know?
No, agreed. Totally with you. I think it makes sense to me, and it is a big deal for both Diane and me. So I know she wants to feel comfortable, as well as do I, moving forward, knowing that we did have these discussions, and I know specifically what I am allowed to do or not to do. I don't want any surprises, obviously. So, and I want to be, honest with, everybody involved, knowing what I want to do with the property. So I feel comfortable moving forward. And I did have one other question regarding the markers. The markers are a requirement. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And then the markers they need to be placed in every so many feet, or at every so many feet plus every turn? What does that look like?
You're right. It's every so many feet plus every time the angle changes, so that you'd be
Okay.
able to follow that. If you were like, let's say mowing, you'd know where you're mowing and where the easement is. And the standard would be 4x4 posts, low to the ground, but 4x4 posts low to the ground. It's got a little metal plate on it that says, Victor Conservation Easement. And then I think we were talking before, there has been precedent where a boulder or a significant tree
Sure.
or something like that could be
Sure.
integrated and used as one of the markers. But if you think about it, when you go out there to mow, you know exactly where this line is, and it's very well delineated.
If I'm not mistaken, and Diane would be able to speak more, but a majority of the conservation line is going to fall out in the woods.
Right.
So there's not mowing going on other than the possible area where I'd place the house tucked in a little bit, obviously making sure I'm doing my due diligence with the setbacks, obviously, but you answered my question. So I think I'm all set for now. Thank you.
Perfect.
And just to clarify a point, my point, Diane, of you being out of state, or I thought you were, is that you're certainly welcome to come to the site walk, but you don't have to either. If it if it doesn't work out, we certainly do these, can do these on our own. It sometimes makes for better conversation. Certainly we can give you our comments right then, but it's not a requirement. So.
It's something that if I could work it out, I would prefer to be there and to be able to have those discussions. So my only constraint is the rest of this week. But as of Sunday, I will be back in the area. And I'm assuming that it's too soon for you to do a site walk anyway, so it should work out.
And then you go to the planning board so a week from today?
Yes.
That's Tuesday
Okay.
the 13th.
But
So maybe we could do something this weekend.
I guess my thought is that I would rather do it right than to rush and do it wrong. So I know that I won't be back until Sunday. But like I said, I'd rather have the opportunity to be part of the group and part of the discussion as we go through there, if that's possible. And maybe it was Pat's comment or somebody who said we could go to the town board, the planning meeting on Tuesday, and that's the sketch plan. And we still have to follow up with the next meeting regardless. So I'm not as concerned that it has to be done before Tuesday, or that we wouldn't the Tuesday meeting, and then we would be able to deal with it before the next meeting.
All right. If I could make a comment here, can I do that? Does everybody hear me?
Yep.
Sure.
Okay,
Yep,
so I
go
have
for
to take my town board liaison hat off and just put my family member hat on for just a second.
Sure.
If somebody, I'm one of the brothers that was the beneficiary of a lot on the corner of the farm many, many years ago, which forced this to be a major subdivision. Otherwise, it wouldn't be that restrictive on the creek, and it wouldn't be a major thing. So my sister's totally in charge of everything that goes on, but if anybody wanted to do a site walk at any given time, I live right there. It can be arranged. I can go with somebody. I can show them. I can assure you that that it's a tough thing for somebody who's enjoyed, the whole family, 6 siblings have lived on it, hunted on it, enjoyed every part of it from a conservation standpoint, that if somebody wanted to beautify it and keep it that way, that would be the least restrictive way, and we'd like to do that. So any advice that you could give us to do that. Joe wants to continue on something that all of us in town would rather see than somebody putting a bunch of houses. As most of you guys know, we're going through this conservation easement issue. Like Tim said before, now with easements that were put in place many, many years ago, and now people are buying the land, second owners and third owners of houses, and there's a big discrepancy on what conservation easements really do and don't allow you to do. And so I see it a lot. I've done a lot of these walkthroughs. So any guidance you can give us and how to make it at least restrictive for somebody that really wants to beautify it and keep it what it's always been. We would enjoy that. And like I said, if you just want to do the walkthrough portion of it, where I live right there, you're welcome to arrange it. And if Diane can be around, fine. She's obviously in charge of anything that happens. But if you need to see it prior to that meeting on Tuesday, by all means, we can make it happen. So that's about it.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, yeah.
I think,
It's helpful.
again, my preference would be to be able to be with the group only because we're gonna have to write it up and we're gonna have to make an argument. And so it's just easier to be there and have that, for me, it's easier to be there and have that discussion.
Certainly, and yeah, we want your input. So I mean, you know, I guess we'll talk afterwards. Maybe we can squeeze it in right on Monday, so you get back Sunday and the planning board's Tuesday. But you know that we may not be able to, but you know, we'll get it scheduled rather soon. And you know, but my suggestion for Tuesday is, you know, certainly let them know, and in the planning board will see that you came before the conservation board, and they can see, you know, you can certainly reiterate your conversation with them, and you know, you can bring up the 50%, you know, thoughts as well. But you know, I guess my point is I think sometimes these things take several conversations. So even if we can't get the site walk in, you know, it's still probably a good idea to meet with a board and hear their thoughts. So we're, you know, both boards are moving in parallel versus waiting till the conservation board does their site walk.
So Mike and Diane, would you all be available on Monday? And Joe?
Yeah, I could be available most any time Monday.
Because we'll have to go through to have it scheduled. We just want to make sure that you get, since your interest is expressed interest in being present, it'd be good to know exactly. We still have to decide when it'll be good for all the other members or most of the members to be present to conduct that site visit. But it'll be good to know what your availability is like, so we can give everybody options to choose, so we can have the most participants.
Yeah, and I've got flexibility, so whatever time it worked for the group on Monday, I could accommodate that.
Okay.
Me as well, July 12th, Monday, open, so whatever time I can make myself available for that date.
Okay, it's generally in the evenings. I mean, we, you know, all have our full-time jobs, so but we'll have that conversation, you know, offline, and hopefully it works for everyone, and we can make it happen. But if it, you know, if we need to do it a couple days later, that can be fine as well. And Diane, I think you've been communicating with Lisa at the town. Is that right?
Yes, Lisa and Kim.
Kim, okay. I mean, either of them can provide you examples of the three easements, and I'm sure you can get those over to Joe.
I was just going to ask Diane, it sounds like you're back Sunday. Are you at all available Sunday? I know it sounds like you return that day. Just curious for scheduling.
Yeah, it would probably, I anticipate it would be later in the day on Sunday. And it's just going to be kind of a tight trip down to,
No worries.
but if it were necessary, I'd make it happen. But if Monday works, that's easier.
Sounds good. Thanks.
I can't make it because Italy just won and they're playing Sunday afternoon, so I won't be able to make
Fair enough.
it.
Okay. That being said, do you have any other questions or concerns that you'd like to go over, or we just wait for the site visit to continue the conversation?
Yeah, I think the site visit, I just want to take a moment to thank you for your time and your patience and your input and kind of working through this. So it means a lot, and I'm appreciative of that.
Welcome.
As well,
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I jumped on you there. I ditto what Diane said. Thank you for your time. It was very helpful information, and like Diane said, I want to make sure we're doing this slowly, not on purpose, but to make sure we're doing all the right things for both, the sellers and myself. So again, I appreciate your time. The site walkthrough makes total sense to me. It may be eye-opening of what we have there, and we can move forward from there. So thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
all.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Want to put the agenda back up? I think we've just got minutes, and everybody is welcome to stay. We'll just keep moving through the agenda.
I was just about to say, if you don't want to stay on, you're welcome to leave, because we're just gonna go through the rest of the stuff on our side.
Perfect. Keith, I'll just keep reading.
Yeah,
It's
go
all
ahead.
right. Other business, looking for the approval of the June 1st meeting minutes. I'm not sure if everybody had a chance to look at those. I did, and I did not have any additions, so I'm good with them.
So do you want to
Same here.
put a motion?
Everybody's good? Okay,
Yeah,
then
good with me.
I'll make a motion. Sorry, go ahead, Tim. Did you say something?
Oh, no, I just said I read them. No comments.
Oh.
I thought they were good.
Good. Then I'll make a motion that we approve them. I'll make a motion we approve the June 1st meeting minutes.
You a
Second.
second? Who's that? Pat?
Yep.
Okay.
Pat.
All in favor?
Aye.
I
Any nays? In discussion? Okay, minutes approved.
And then I see there's reminders for calendar and training. I saw those were in our Dropbox as well. So I know myself, for one, I need to complete my calendar.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Ooh.
and
You want to just send
You're
that
not looking
over
at
to us
training.
when you're done?
Yes, please.
what, the calendar?
Yes.
Fill it
I've
out.
done a couple of months. I thought Kim was filling that out, because we do
Yeah.
everything online.
Yep.
That's fine. When you're done, send it over.
Looks like we'll have to do that.
Yeah.
Anything else then? That's it for the agenda today. Monday for me, for the site walk would be fine. Like a 6 o'clock, I think, is what we've done in the past, something like that. I could do that.
Yeah, I checked my calendar. I'm good for 6 o'clock too.
Okay.
So,
I think I can make it. So don't wait on me if everyone else is a go. I'm familiar with that piece of property. I haven't walked
you?
it, but just that land. So
Okay.
so maybe we'll get
Okay.
Andy's comments and
Yeah. Excellent. All right.
okay.
Um,
Can you? So I'll send her an email to try and schedule a site visit for Monday at 6 p.m.
Perfect.
perfect.
Guys, I'll be
If I
out of
could say,
town, but
Oh.
go for it. I'll trust your comments. Sorry, Mike.
No, no problem. So our liaison assignments changed 1st of July. So now I have conservation board for the upcoming. So if anybody needs to get a hold of me at any time, my information's there, but reach out and I'm happy to, I'm pretty flexible for going forward for anything. If you need it, feel free to reach out to me in any way if you want to.
Sure.
Sounds
Sounds good.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Any updates from the town or?
No, pretty status quo. We're down to our short, one major meeting and one meeting or bill paying meeting in the first of the month. So we got a couple easy months and it's been pretty quiet, actually, almost good. We do have, like I was saying, we do have a couple issues with people that are abusing the easements behind their properties that we're dealing with. You probably have heard about that, but nothing major going on right now. So pretty cool. It's kind of nice right now for a month or so.
We'll take it.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Enjoy your summer. Yeah.
All right, man.
All right.
Awesome.
I know,
Go ahead.
and Andrew wanted to discuss somebody. He probably didn't make it to the meeting, so we have to wait for the next meeting to discuss. That he sent an email out about that topic, so we wait for him the next time.
Yeah, the wind cannon.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
wait.
All right.
Awesome.
So, do you want to?
Looking for a
Yeah, okay.
motion to adjourn then, Keith?
Yes.
All right, I'll make that.
I'll second it.
So the meeting has come. Oh, all in agreement?
We're good.
Aye.
So meeting has come to a close at 7:39 p.m. What time we started meeting? Was it 6:31?
Yeah, a couple minutes. Yeah, a couple minutes after 6:30. It was, I don't know, 6:32, something like that.
Okay, that's right. Okay. Okay, buddy. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,